Welcome, folks, to Align with God, how to live your spiritual life in this physical world with purpose and abundance. I am thrilled today to have with us Dr. Edwige. She is the author of the book, You're Not Crazy, Youre Awakening. She has her doctorate in metaphysics, and her journey of awakening began at 12 years old. Welcome, Dr. Edwige.
Hi, Dr. Molly. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, I am so pleased. I'm thrilled for our
you.
viewers. Please, why don't you begin by telling us a bit about yourself and let that be whatever it's intended to be.
A bit about myself. I would say, as your intro indicated, this journey began at 12. And so it's just for us to remember that so much of this is a lifelong process. We hear this word awakening and we think it's a one-time thing and we're awake. No, it is a lifetime of truth. It's a lifetime of seeking. And yes, for me, I was actually visited by dimensional or beings. So early on, 6, 7 years old, I could see spirits, I could see ghosts. And in fact, my parents would leave the hallway light on in the middle of the night because no doubt I would get up, see something, right, on the way to the bathroom. It's been a journey. And I think that's really important for us to all really tap back in, because a lot of us have blocked that information, have shut it down, whether we didn't have someone supporting us on the journey. So it really is just to remember that we are so special. We are absolutely divine, and that, it's been a lifetime in the making.
That's incredible. I just wrote down not only at first you said lifelong process, but you said a lifetime of truth. And what an incredible statement, right? Because, and I think something that's important, right, is for folks, viewers, to understand it's about engaging with your truth.
Yeah. The way this has been set up, right? We know that we're in this awakening and this ascension timeline. And really, there's so many different aspects to it, the initiations of ascension and so on. But it really is about us beginning to remember who we are, our divine truth, that we were never cast out of this wonderful heavenly realm because we were bad, that we chose to come forth to experience the physicality so that we as these divine masters could expand and grow and graduate and become the teachers. And so that's what it's about. And so we have to remember these truths of who we are, because the program, right, the negatives, this programming would have us believe ourselves less than divine, less than beautiful, less than perfect. And then we take on all of this lifetime after lifetime, the programs, and we start to believe that as our truth. So it's about us really beginning to remember and to step onto the path of who we are, and bit by bit peeling away the layers, bit by bit healing the inner child, bit by bit healing those past lifetimes, bit by bit healing the sins of our fathers and clearing our karma, and beginning to turn on and pulse and vibrate and remember, oh my goodness, I am this divine electrical being. I can feel it moving in me as me, right? Where I'm connected to flow, where there is no more separation. And that is why we're here.
You're on fire, and I love it.
The truth is the truth.
I know. It was so funny. I finished an interview earlier today, and I got in my car, and I was like, I'm on fire. I was like, you can't hold it in. So here, this brings us to an incredible point, right? When you've tapped into the truth at some level, not even living it all the time. I want viewers to understand, when you've tapped into it, it is that, like, you're on fire for it. Like you said, that electrical
charge.
Go for it. I can tell.
So I can't even begin to tell you how electrical it is. In fact, as I'm just sitting here speaking to it, my fingers are pulsing. So it's an ongoing process. And for me, as an adult, 2004, I was rear-ended in a car accident. I went into the light. My life didn't flash before me, but I went into this beautiful holding space with this beautiful energy. It was like a white golden space. And I heard a voice saying, you are here to be the light. I'm like, okay, right? Because again, I remember from childhood being visited by these divine beings. And so I was kind of accustomed to this supernatural, if you will. And then shortly thereafter, all of a sudden, I started getting all of these visitations. Literally every 10 days, some divine being would show up. They would touch me, bring me off planet. And all of these things started to happen. But I started to pulse. I started to vibrate. And I remember early on, it started at my feet, and my feet would be pulsing, and I'm like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this pulsing at my feet? And then it would stop, and then it would come back, and then it would stop, and then it would move someplace else. I remember this one time, this bolt of white lightning came in through my bedroom, went into my heart, shifted it. And when I got up later on that morning, my chest hurt. And I'm like, oh, that's right. This bolt of white light, I watched it. And, you know, the thing about it is, it's one thing to have inner vision, but I could see these things coming with my eyes open. So I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't in this altered state of, you know, dream state. No, I was awake. My eyes were open, and here these things were coming into my room to visit me. And so I say electrical because as these processes happen, as you peel away the layers, as you turn on this DNA, you truly begin to pulse and vibrate and feel this electrical energy that you are becoming. And so the process really of awakening and moving through this ascension is for you to turn on more and more and more. The more you turn on, the more you clear, the more you can take on more light and become this electrical being, this divine being. 2012, my light body, oh my gosh, I'll never forget, because again, every time I lay still, I pulse, I vibrate, I'm seeing colors. And as I lay there in the wee hours of the morning, this particular day, looking up, I saw this still point of white light. And I'm like, well, you're new. Okay. And I watched it descend. It took between 10 and 12 hours as it descended. And as it was right, you know, room level, I saw that it was a shape of a body. It was a pure white body. So I had already received the blue light body, the violet light body, but now this white body moved in. I could feel it move in, move things out the way to make space for it. It was intense. But that's this process. That is the multidimensional vehicle that you must have within you so that your I am, your monad, can begin the descension into you. So this is the vehicle that allows it. You know, the Kundalini activated, the Merkaba activated, but you need this body because it's the glue that holds it all together, allowing now all of these parts of you to come back and be as one in the vessel. And so, oh my, after that, things really got electrical. And I mean, it was like I was being electrocuted. And the ability to clear people and activate that within them turned on. These templates that are held within me, all of these things started to turn on. And then it was in 2014, standing on Mount Shasta, that I watched a wall come in, split the dimensions, and I stepped into 5D and walked through the levels of 5D. I watched the rays of God descend. I saw all sorts of amazing things with eyes open. But that's what this is about, you see. It really is about the return of us as these beautiful divine beings that came forward to expand so that we could graduate. So yeah, that's a part of the journey, here to help others awaken and to realize you're really not crazy. Hearing outside voices and inside voices and seeing things that might not seem so normal in the 3D are all very real.
So there is so much there
I know.
to chat about, and that's very for viewers to understand. When somebody has got to that level, has been initiated enough
Yeah.
into the 5D, this is normal. We could swap stories all day, every day, for hours on end. And what I want to do is really bring this home for a lot of folks that don't feel like they've
Yeah.
necessarily had experiences as you have. And that's why she's a teacher. That's
Yeah.
why she's teaching.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, so in one sense, it's hugely like for folks. When they hear these stories, because it's like somebody's definitely expanding a lot more and experiencing a lot more, and there's hope, and I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
other component, I feel for folks, there's this element of, hey, let's take it one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
What does it really mean? So interestingly enough, you say it started when you were 12. What was it that intense? I mean, you bring up, and I've experienced it myself. You said, this process is intense. You said that. And it is. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's a large portion of it as well that, that I've never shared with, I've shared with very few people because it is so exorbitantly intense. Now, here's the thing though. It's not for everybody, and not everybody's teaching at the level you're teaching. So what does that look like when you're trying to walk folks through living an aligned life, and they're not necessarily dealing with, orbs and light bodies coming in? What is that? Not yet anyway, because the goal is we all will.
Eventually, exactly. We're all going to eventually get there. I think the goal, is to first understand consciousness, that we are conscious beings, and that we are living and receiving that which we are a match to. And as I begin to do the work, I take you step by step through those stages and states of consciousness, right? We have to get you off of survival mode and move you to the enlightenment and begin to realize that you're the creator of your experiences. And if you don't like what you're creating, change your thoughts, change your life. Get you off of autopilot. Stop having the same habitual thoughts, right? The same patterns, eating the same food on every Tuesday. You have Taco Tuesday. I mean, they've coined these things, right? Am I right?
Programming. No, you're right.
It's called programming. And
Exactly.
so where we have to begin is at the beginning. We have to get you to understand these programs. You have some seated program within you that is controlling you. So we have to get down into your core to see what that program is, because that program's not serving you. So perhaps it's from childhood and what you heard, you see, because the subconscious doesn't know what is imagined or real. So when you watch TV as a child and you hear them fighting or shooting up, you take it in as a truth. Or if you've heard your parents, they could have argued once and you think that's the norm, or they could have been discussing money in a way that wasn't supportive and in a way of lack and limitation, and you've now taken that on. Or your father could have left and now you think that you can't find a man because your daddy left you. So all of these things have to be addressed so that you, the adult, can consciously say, this is who I am. That's the old me. I now choose to see myself loved and loving, healthy, happy, no more dis-ease within my body, showing me out of alignment, but I'm choosing consciously to bring myself into harmony and balance. That's where we begin.
Again, I love these. They're so packed with substance. I could take any number of points that you just said there, and we could expand 3 hours on.
Oh, indeed. There's that much material and that much inner standing, right? That has to come from it. Because, that's even another whole aspect of it, the power of our words. We have to understand the power of our words. And that spelling has been taught to us to cast spells. And so when I say an inner standing, I mean just that it must come from within. Because if it's an understanding, you are standing under it and you don't have a full comprehension of it. So it's the mastery of even your words. Because your word is the will. As you speak it, so it is. So if you've been taught to speak in a negative way and you don't even know you're using words like blessed, if you go to an etymology dictionary, blessed means to make a sacrifice. How is that a good thing? So there's so much lying underneath all of this that needs to come up to the surface so that we can see the truth, and then make a conscious choice as to what it is we choose to have an understanding of. Because we can't even use the word believe, because you break it down and it says to be lie. So you believe in a lie. So there needs to be the inner understanding, the inner standing. I mean, it's just amazing how deep this goes.
It is. And I don't want folks to get too overwhelmed, because that's
Okay.
part of the
Okay.
programming as well. That's a part of the programming as well.
It is.
I always like to keep it, I could go for days with you like this. I always have to remember that.
Reel me back.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
know.
I always have to, you heard it before, right? This is
Yes.
nothing new.
It's like, okay, Doc, I know. But again,
because you get on fire and it just comes through
yeah.
you. And that's what the truth is. And when someone is living,
Yeah.
and this is a perfect example, the lesson is right here. The lesson about living congruently is right here. She gets so in it that it's just coming through her.
Oh yeah.
And so, exactly.
Slow it down.
and so here's a beautiful part. That part of the training now is okay, I'm dealing with people in this world, and this is, I got to slow it down. I got to take it one step at a time, and then to have it be in bite-sized chunks where folks can actually chew it up, sit with it a little bit, and see how they can apply that into their own life. Mm-hmm. And so the one thing I do want to really bring home for them is that the very first thing you said, and it was put succinctly, understand consciousness. Mm. And then with that is very simply, folks, get out of survival and into the understanding that out of autopilot, into the understanding of that you are a creator, a co-creator. And then even beyond that is that your words are powerful. You went and gave 4 examples right there, 3 or 4 examples of meanings beneath words that we don't think about. And so what I will drive home to folks is that there is so much behind the things you don't put any thought into that I'm not just pointing the finger.
No, this is true.
So if we can just simply begin to reel ourselves in, mm-hmm. and begin to own this idea of, okay, wait a minute, maybe everything I've been engaging in my life that I just take as truth, maybe it's not. And with that simple openness and that simple practice and an opportunity to take this concept, you say, of inner standing, if we were to, each and every one of us could grow exponentially, be shown alignments and misalignments in our own life. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about this. It's just, quite honestly, baby steps. If, just take the simplest of things and understanding consciousness. And if you would begin to pay attention, give intent and pay attention to your words. And so a wonderful thing that I'll give you is this. Positive thoughts lead to positive emotions, lead to a positive result. Negative thoughts will lead to a negative emotion and lead you to a negative result. So if you can stop throughout the day, you might even want to set your cell phone every 2 hours, every hour. If you stop throughout the day and check in with yourself, how am I feeling? That's my guidance system. If I'm feeling good, I'm feeling positive, things are going well around me at work or wherever you are, then wonderful. You've probably been having positive thoughts. Continue, and then you'll have the good results. If your guidance system is saying, oh, I'm feeling sick. What's going on? Why do I feel bad? Why am I angry? Why am I upset? Why is this not working? Stop. Is it your stuff, right, that's coming up to be addressed and released? Are you an empath and you're feeling someone else's stuff in the office? How do I let go of it and not take it on and yet help to transmute it? Wow. Is there something coming up that I'm supposed to get here? Is there a lesson and I'm not seeing it? And I'm about to repeat the same pattern that I've been repeating for the last 10 years? Whew. Now, all right, I got that. I'm going to clear it. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to move back to center point, which is my heart. I'm going to have a better feeling thought. I'm going to have a new thought and choose the next experience how I want it to be and not live on default. And now I pick up, you see.
That I would like to teach as best I can, right? Processes, because then it facilitates folks for their own process of understanding. Because,
Yes.
right? And that right there was a process. So if you set your cell phone, and basically what I'm getting from you is that consistency,
Absolutely.
bringing it back to intention and the idea and the understanding of consciousness, looking at the current, paying attention, looking at in that practice, looking at actually how we feel in our body, assessing from there, because that's telling us
It sure
what's
is.
going on. I
Yeah.
love how you said, and this is what I was thinking, is recentering, coming back to the heart, making a conscious decision from there. And that, my friends, and then moving forward is
Yep.
deciding, and that is how you get out of the programming.
That's how you get out of the programming. That's how you awaken. You see, the thing is, we spend so much time in our head thinking that our head is running the show, right? The mind. And no, it's not. You need to have your consciousness be in your heart. Your heart has over 40,000 brain cells. It can think, it can create. And when you're in that space, oh my gosh, it can only create for your best and highest good and the good of all concerned. So we actually have to consciously move ourselves into the awareness of that tiny space in the heart where there's only unconditional love and no judgment. So every time you go into judgment of something, what are you doing? You're taking 10 steps back, right? So live and breathe and be in that space, and then begin to see that your thoughts are there to bring something to your attention. Wow. Think about that. Why
Yeah.
am I having this thought? Why is this little thing on my back saying, Edwige, why are you doing that? You know, why would you do that again? You know, that's really stupid, or whatever, right? That's to say, thank you, thought, because I control you, my thought, but thank you for bringing this to my attention. Yes, I did it this way, umpteen times, but because you brought this to my attention, right now, right here, I'm choosing to do it a different way. Thank you for having my back. Do you see the difference? We let our minds run rampant and we think we have no control over the mental body. Well, I'm here to tell you that the mental body actually is one of the initiations of ascension in those 7 initiations. There's mastery of the physical, mastery of the emotional body, mastery of the mental body. And so we truly have to gain control of our thoughts. Yeah.
Funny, I had a conversation today with someone. I said, people have it all wrong. They're trying to control their thoughts from just the space in their head. I was like, once they get into their heart, they realize we actually operate from our heart. And when you can drop in and live from the space of the heart, you get that the mind calms down.
Hello.
And I said, we have
Thank
an
you.
entire society that's just simply trying to control the thoughts. And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, why don't we take a different approach? Now, this comes from someone who spent years trying to control their thoughts. So it's funny, I had that conversation at 3:00 my time today, saying, got it all wrong.
Yeah, it's about being in the heart. And when you can live and operate from that space, that's when you move back into harmony, order, and balance. You're
Wrap it.
now the observer, right? You're the observer. So nothing's going to pull you out of that space. You can just observe and be in this place of peace. And that
Wrap
feels
it all
amazing.
around.
Yeah.
This is my perception, and correct me if I'm wrong. You spoke at the beginning about eyes open and you're starting to see things. My experience is this. Once you drop into the heart, that's when your eyes are open, that's when you're not seeing it in your meditations. Yeah, you still see it in your meditations, but when you're in your space, your heart is when that stuff you start seeing with your eyes open.
Well, because you see, that's one of the keys, if you will, being in that space of your heart and living there unconditionally. Oh, now you as the multiverse, the multidimensional you, has permission to start to awaken, and now you're living as a multidimensional being, and yes, you're going to see it right there with your eyes wide open. And that's
Look
the
at
coolest
that.
thing.
And then the other cool thing is that this thing went full circle, and it was simply, the conversation went full circle, literally, to the explanation of how you begin to see things with your eyes wide open.
That's
and we had no intention or direction of that other than letting this conversation play out with the flow at the center.
And allowing it to be organic and allowing to speak from the heart that which your soul which wishes to relay, right? Yeah. Allow the heart to speak.
It makes my heart happy. Do you know my word for this year is flow? Of course it is. So, question for you: you have a cover of the book. Will you show the book that you wrote?
Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. Tell us a quick bit about it, and then what you're offering folks today.
Okay, so You're Not Crazy, Youre Awakening is the name of my book. I tell you, it's so funny because I never had an intention to be an author. But in this awakening process, boy, it shows up what you're guided to do. And so I found myself at, let's see, I was at a workshop in Sedona, and this person walked up to me and said, "Are you writing yet?" And I said, "No, I don't write. I sing for a living, but no, I don't write." And she says, "Oh, you will." I'm like, okay, whatever. Months later, I'm, in Las Vegas, attending a friend's workshop, sitting there, and they're on break, and this woman comes through the crowd, walks up to me and says, "They want you to know how much you are loved. Are you writing yet?" And I'm like, "You talking to me?" I said, "Well, thank them. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you too. No, I don't write. That's not me." Then months later, literally, I'm on the phone with someone who channels Archangel Michael. Michael comes in and says, "Dear one, you are to write." He doesn't say, "Are you writing yet?"
And we love you.
None of that stuff. It's like, "You are to write. It is within your blueprint to write, and you will be known." I'm like, he said much more. And I said, "Really? And what am I writing about?" He says, "You will know. It's all about your experience." And so there you have it. I started journaling every time some being showed up. I wrote about it, and I just journaled all of this information. And so, and what they showed me, what I learned through the processes, through the experiences. Literally, quite honestly, early on, I watched the still point of light. I was awakened in the wee hours of the morning, around 4:13. Back then was my power number because that's my birthday, 4:13. Before I started seeing the sequences of 111, 333, and all of that. So in the wee hours, 4:13 in the morning, I'm awakened by the still point of light coming in through my room. It stops in front of my face, and it's this blinding bright white light, and it turns into pictures. And I could see it with my eyes shut or open. And I said, "What on earth is that?" And I heard a voice say, "Testing." Well, all sorts of things started showing up and coming into the room. And so I journaled all of that, what they taught me about autopilot, what they taught me about raising your frequency, what I was taught about grounding, protection, what all of this looks like. And so chapter by chapter, I share those experiences, the visits, if you will, and then how you are to move through those processes with ease, and really what this looks like firsthand from someone who has walked the walk.
That's incredible.
So, and it leads up to 2012, my light body descending into me. So this takes you on a journey of that very first visitation as a child to my light body moving in 2012. So the next one's going to be about the follow-up of all that has occurred with the full ascension. So the gift is a PDF copy of this book.
That's incredible. I can't wait to get my hands on some of those stories. They're sure to crack a smile or two.
Oh yeah, I'm sure for you, you probably had very similar experiences.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so much from my heart to yours
See.
for spending time, right?
Yeah. And you feel it. You see, and now feel that our souls are so pleased that we connected in this way, that we spoke our truth, and that it's going to assist those who are ready to hear. Wow. It doesn't get any better.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
When we learn to drop into and live from the space of our heart,
Yeah.
not only does life become easier, sometimes it becomes, in some ways, it can feel, it's funny because you're called to do a great deal more,
Oh, yes.
but you do so with a level of commitment and willingness to do whatever you're called, because the level of love is just inexplicable. And so thank you
Absolutely.
from my heart to yours for joining us, for sharing with your community, with the other communities that this will be shared with. And know that I hold you in much gratitude tonight. And folks, I thank you for joining us. Make sure you check out the link, grab that PDF of her book, and find a way tonight to drop into your heart, whatever that looks like for you.
Whatever it looks like. Yes.
And until next time, sending you a whole lot of grace, gratitude, and love our way. Thank you.